MDL cell. And this is the city of Kaesong, which was the site of the original signing of the armistice before that's moved to the Panmunjom, or what we call the JSA. Although the demilitarized zone has become one of the most militarized borders in the world, the MDL itself consists of no fortifications. It's merely a series of 1,292 yellow and black panel markers that run from coast to coast, placed at 200, 300-meter intervals. From the south, they read with Hangul on top, or Korean, and the English on the bottom. And then from the north, they read with Korean on top and Chinese on the bottom. Throughout the JSA, the MDL is further defined by a series of 1-meter white posts placed at 10-meter intervals and a 17 by 5-inch concrete slab there between the buildings on Conference Road. Note how the yellow line, the MDL, winds its way through the middle of the DMZ and forms a finger there at the JSA. Upon arriving at checkpoint 3, I'll be able to point out how up there you're actually surrounded on 3 sides by North Korea. We'll start here at Camp Boniface, exit onto the main supply route, MSR, or also known as Highway 1. For over 50 years, this was the only route between North and South Korea before the opening of the East and West transportation corridors. However, this remains the only route up to the JSA for all armistice-related events. Along the way, myself and specialists would be able to point out Guard Post 240, Observation Post Olet, Taesongdong or Freedom Village, Jijeongdong or Propaganda Village, and the Neutral Nation Supervisory Commission, or the NNSC camp of the Swiss and the Swedish, and the former camp of the Polish and the Czech. First, Taesongdong or Freedom Village. The UNC is responsible.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Military Armistice Commission, or the MAC building. All meetings in this building last anywhere from 3 to 4 hours. However, there's one on record lasting 11.5 hours, where both parties refused to get up and utilize the restroom for fear of showing a sign of weakness. We given this meeting the nickname of the Bladder War. So now every 2.5 hours, there's a mandatory 15-minute break, but both parties may get up and utilize, or may use the restroom. All meetings are translated into 2 languages, English and Korean. This used to be done in the glass booths that you see at the ends of the buildings. However, now the translators sit at the heads of the tables. 3 microphones that you see on the table in front of you are monitoring and recording 24 hours a day. They also represent the military demarcation line inside of this building. So those of you standing to my left are standing in Communist North Korea. Those of you to my right are still relatively safe in the Republic of Korea with me. The rock soldiers are here for your protection. They're standing at a modified position of Taekwondo. This position, along with the dark sunglasses, are used to present an intimidating stance towards the North Koreans. The rock soldiers that you saw outside, you will get a better look once we get on Conference Road. But they are standing half exposed to present less of a target in case fired upon by the KPA. If you'd like to make a crossing into North Korea, you can only do so at the far end of the table. If you'd like to take pictures with the rock soldiers, you may do so, but stay at least 6 inches away from them. And do not touch or interfere with their duties in any way, because they will touch back, and I have no control over that. Do not cross behind either soldier, and do not cross in front of the soldier here at the head of the table. So at this time, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. If you want to take pictures out the windows, only towards North Korea, but you may move about freely. One last thing, do not place anything on the furniture or disturb the furniture in any way. So you have time to move down. Gentlemen, welcome to Conference Row, the official meeting place between North and South Korea. All the blue buildings do belong to the UNC or United Nations Command, and all the silver and gray buildings do belong to North Korea or the KPA. If you look to your right, the large blue building is the JDO, or Joint Duty Officer Building. The current JDO is a U.S. Naval officer and is the official representative of the United Nations Command Military Armistice Commission and conducts all communications between the KPA and the UNC. Sir, can you stay up on the top step for me? Across from the blue building, you'll see the 3-story tan tower. This is KPA Guard Post 2, and it is monitoring and observing us at this time. So once again, do not point, wave, or gesture towards North Korea. I know I sound like a broken record, but also some people just don't like to listen, so let's reiterate it. At the base of the hill from KPA Guard Post 2 is white stakes, which stand at 1 meter in height and are spaced at 10-meter intervals. This does represent the military demarcation line inside of the joint security area, continuing through Conference Row with that 17 by 5-inch concrete slab between each building. The first gray building you see on your right here is the KPA recreational facility. It is rather ironically named this, for it houses no recreational equipment and is very seldom used by the North Koreans. It's generally used when there's any types of talks between officers, in which they'll stage 10 to 20 armed troops inside the building, and they'll usually pull back the curtains and they'll point, wave, or make derogatory gestures towards us, such as the throat slashing gesture. Due to those childish antics, we've given this building the name of the Monkey House. T3 is used by the JDO for colonel level or staff officer level meetings. T1 is used by the Swiss and the Swedish neutral nations for weekly meetings. And the last great building you see on your left is the former Czech and Polish NNSC building, but it is no longer used. Across from Kaufman's Row, you'll see a 3-story tan building. This is the North Korea's Visitor Welcome Center, or the Panmunjom. It is also used for a 2-man guard post. You can't see one of those guys on top of the stairs up there. That is Bob. That is his name from us. There's also a guy in the window to his right that is taking pictures of everyone that is out here. So every time we bring a tour out here, they're taking pictures of everybody that we bring. I don't know how many pictures he has of me. You'll notice that the 3rd story of the Panmunjom is slightly different than the rest. It's because they constructed the Panmunjom to stand slightly taller than the original Freedom House, which stands behind you. So at this time, if you'd like to continue taking the photographs, you may do so. Just again, only tours North Korea. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and I will. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to United Nations Command Checkpoint 3. Can everybody hear me in the back? If you remember from your slide brief, you told you'd be surrounded on all 3 sides by Communist North Korea. I will show you at this time. If you look to your right in the tree line, you'll see the white stakes and the black and yellow panel markers. The panel marker is actually rusted over now. It's kind of really hard to see, but it is located right there on top of that little dirt mound. The MDL, that represents the MDL in this area. It follows the tree line down to your front where it makes an abrupt left, crossing to the front, crosses the Sanchun River and running all the way through the Han Estuary into the west. So this gives you a little better understanding of how you are surrounded on all 3 sides by Communist North Korea. If you look off into the distance on the large hill out there, you see a J-shaped dirt road. This marks the northern boundary of the demilitarized zone and is approximately 1,000 meters or 2,000 meters from where you stand now. To the left of that, you'll see the KPA Guard Post 5, which is sticking out of the tree line a little bit. Again, it is monitoring and observing us at this time, so once again, do not point, wave, or gesture towards North Korea. To the left of KPA Guard Post 5, off in the distance, you'll see a cluster of buildings and a long blue roof building. This is the former Czech and Polish NNSC camp. Directly in front of this monument, approximately 1,000 meters, you'll see an A-frame building inside the cluster of trees. This is North Korea's People's Peace Museum, and it is rather ironically named as for it houses the 2 axes that were used in the 1976 axe murder incident. Down to your front left, you'll see UNC Checkpoint 4. In front of UNC Checkpoint 4 is the Bridge of No Return. On the other side of the Bridge of No Return is KPA Guard Post 7, and it is monitored, or it is manned 24 hours a day. Checkpoint 4 is no longer manned. Everything seen from Checkpoint 4 can easily be seen from Checkpoint 3 located to your rear. The large grassy area behind Checkpoint 4 is the focal point of the 1976 axe murder incident. On this side of the road from the grassy area, you'll see the row of trees with the gaps in between them. Count 3 trees back, you'll see that gap. That is the location of that large yellow poplar which stood in this area. So you get a better understanding of how a tree of that size would block visibility between the 2 checkpoints. Off to the far left is the village of Gijongdong, or Propaganda Village. We know that most buildings in this village are fake for the windows. Most windows and doors are actually painted on these buildings. And at night, when the village is rarely lit up, the 3rd floor is brighter, and with each floor below, the light gets dimmer. So we know that these buildings are hollow. There's no floors inside of any of these buildings. The flag's not flying very well today. It takes a very large gust of wind to get the flag flying. It has a dry weight of over 600 pounds. During inclement weathers, they must lower this flag in order to prevent it from tearing on itself.